These 5 simple changes to your financial strategy could add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your net worth over time. Today, we're diving into the most common wealth building mistakes I see even the most successful investors make. And they're completely fixable once you know what to look for. So stay tuned, because one of these could be costing you more than your annual salary over the next decade. So for the sake of time, let's dive right into it. Today, we're talking about 5 fixable mistakes that are quietly eroding your wealth building potential. And they're not complex. They're just fundamental decisions that a lot of people get wrong, leaving some serious money on the table long term. So we're going to explore why Roth 401ks might be sabotaging your tax strategy. We're also going to talk about a simple harvesting technique that can save you thousands in taxes every year, and why that bonus check you just spent could have been worth $250,000 by the time you retire. So let's dive right into it. Mistake number 1 is maxing out Roth 401k contributions without a strategy. I see this mistake constantly. High-income earners automatically choosing Roth 401k contributions because they think tax-free growth always wins. Now, I'm a big believer in having as much money in Roth 401ks or Roth IRAs as possible, but here's what you're missing. If you're in a high tax bracket today, the Roth contribution is costing you a fortune in current taxes. So let me just paint you a picture. Kevin, he's a software engineer. He's making $300,000 per year. He contributes $23,000 to his Roth 401k, and he's paying taxes on that $23,000 at a marginal rate of 35%. That's about $8,000 in taxes he didn't need to pay this year. Now, if he had chosen the traditional 401k contribution instead, he could have invested that $8,000 in tax savings and likely come out way ahead, especially if his retirement tax rate is lower than 35% in retirement. Now, I'm all about Roth 401ks or Roth IRAs, but you need to have a contribution strategy. The Roth versus traditional decision isn't about which account is better. It's about tax arbitrage. You want to defer taxes when you're in high tax brackets and pay taxes when you're in a lower tax bracket. So here's my first principle for you to remember today. Pay tomorrow's tax rate, not today's tax bracket. So if you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, which many high earners will be, traditional contributions often win. Here's a strategy and framework to consider. It's all based upon what tax bracket you're in. So remember this framework. Under 22, a Roth 401k is all you should do. Between 24 and 32, blend the two. Over 35, pre-tax should be prioritized. So depending on what tax bracket you're in today, it's not a question of which account is better. It's about tax strategy. Paying tomorrow's tax rate, not today's tax bracket. Mistake number 2 is ignoring tax loss harvesting. Tax loss harvesting is like finding money in your couch cushions, except the couch cushion is your investment portfolio. And the money can be thousands of dollars every year, but most investors completely ignore this strategy. So here's how it works. When you have investments that have lost value, you can sell them to realize that loss for tax purposes, then immediately buy back a similar but not identical investment to stay in the market. So if you sold a stock that was in the consumer cyclical space, you could buy a consumer cyclical ETF or another consumer cyclical stock and then keep that money invested. And what you're doing here is you're offsetting gains. So when you have those investments that have lost value temporarily, you can offset gains elsewhere in your portfolio or reduce your ordinary income up to $3,000 per year with an unlimited carry forward. So if you took $10,000 in a loss and you didn't do that against gains for the year, you could carry forward that loss, and not just this year, but for the next couple years. So let me give you a real example. Last year, one of my clients had $15,000 in unrealized losses in their taxable account. And by harvesting these, we saved about $3,600 in taxes at the 24% tax bracket. Now, if you invested that $3,600 in savings at a 7% annual return, that $3,600 becomes $14,000 in future wealth. Now imagine if you did that every single year. Behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman observed that losses loom larger than gains. It's in our psychology. It's always tough to take losses. But in tax loss harvesting, we flip the script. We use our losses to create gains through tax savings. The key is to be really systematic about it. Check your taxable accounts quarterly, especially after market downturns. Look for positions that are down 5% or more from your purchase price and sell them and harvest the loss immediately and buy back a similar fund. Or you can wait 31 days to buy back the exact same investment to avoid the wash sale rule. Many people think you need to have huge losses to make this worthwhile, but even small harvesting adds up. So here's my second principle for today. Small losses, big wins. Harvest every season. So we're about halfway through the episode, and if you're already thinking about implementing these first two, you're on the right track. But wait until you hear about the 401k strategy that most people get completely backwards, and the account that's basically triple tax advantage that 90% of eligible people ignore. So let's focus on mistake number 3, not going beyond the company match. I have a lot of people when I ask them, are you maxing out your 401k? And the answer they say is yes. And then I find out that all they're doing is putting in what they need to get the match. But a lot of people stop at that match. Now, I want you to think about one other thing. A lot of individuals will maybe max out an IRA first before they max out their 401k, maybe because they have more investment options, or they could buy stocks in their IRA. I think this is backwards thinking, especially if you're a higher income earner, and here's why. If you're making good money, you're probably above the IRA deduction limits. That means you're comparing a non-deductible IRA to 401k contributions that do give you a tax deduction. The 401k wins every time, even with limited investment options. So let me just show you the math. Take Jennifer. She earns about $120,000 per year after getting her match. She puts $6,000 in a non-deductible IRA instead of an additional 401k contribution. That $6,000 IRA contribution gives her zero tax benefit today. But if she put that same $6,000 in her 401k, she'd save about $1,400 in taxes at the 24% tax bracket. And if you invested that savings over 25 years at a 7% rate of return, that tax savings alone becomes over $7,800. But here's what most people don't realize. Most modern 401k plans have perfectly good low-cost index funds. You don't need 47 different investment options. If you're young and just starting out with a 401k, you can put it in one of the life path funds that automatically diversify your portfolio. Or if you want to keep it really simple, all you need is really 4 areas. Get some U.S. total market exposure. Get some international total market exposure. Get some fixed income exposure if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, and maybe even some type of real estate investment trust type fund. So my third principle for you today to remember is max the match, then max the tax advantage. Maxing out your 401k is not just about putting the amount in to get your match. Let's go back to Jennifer. If she put in 5% or $6,000 per year to get her match, she's leaving about $17,000 on the table that could be put away tax deferred. The current contribution limit to a 401k in 2025 is $23,000 per year, and that is on top of the match. This is something a lot of people get wrong. So if your employer matches 5% and they put in $6,000, that does not count towards your $23,000 contribution limit. So the strategy is simple. Get your full match, then contribute enough to your 401k to get you down possibly to the next tax bracket. And if you're in between tax brackets, then consider other types of accounts. So we've covered 3 major mistakes so far, but the next one might be the biggest missed opportunity in personal finance. It's an account that gives you a triple tax advantage that most people either don't know about or they completely underutilize. So mistake number 4 is not maximizing or investing your health savings account. If your 401k is good and your IRA is good, the HSA kind of is the holy grail of tax advantage accounts. It's the only account that gives you a hidden triple tax advantage. You get to deduct the contributions, you get tax-free growth, and you get tax-free withdrawals for qualified expenses. Yet most people treat it like a checking account for medical bills. So here's the HSA strategy that wealth builders use. Contribute the maximum every year. Try to invest it a little bit more aggressively in the beginning and pay current medical expenses out of pocket if you can afford it. Keep those receipts because you can reimburse yourself decades later tax-free. It's like having a stealth retirement account kind of disguised as health insurance. So let me just give you the numbers. In 2025, you can contribute $4,300 for individuals or $8,550 for family coverage, plus an additional $1,000 if you're 55 or older. If you invest that family maximum of $8,550 every year for 20 years at 7%, you're going to have over $350,000, all tax-free if used for medical expenses. But here's the kicker. After age 65, you can withdraw HSA money for any purpose. It just becomes taxable like a traditional IRA. So the worst case, it's as good as a 401k. Best case, it's completely tax-free like a Roth IRA. So to maximize your HSA, first make sure you're eligible by having a high deductible health plan. Second, contribute the maximum each year. And third, invest it in low-cost index funds, not cash. I see a lot of people, they put money in their HSA, and it's all in a stable value or cash account. So invest that money a little bit more aggressively when you're first starting contributions. So we're on to the final mistake, and this one hits close to home for anyone who's ever received a bonus or an inheritance or any type of windfall. You know, most people, they spend their inheritance or bonus before they even have it. So mistake number 5 is spending windfalls instead of investing. This is the most emotionally challenging one because a lot of us treat windfalls like found money instead of some type of wealth building opportunity. Whether it's a bonus, a tax refund, an inheritance, or even just finding $20 in your pocket, the way you handle unexpected money reveals almost everything about your wealth building mindset. There's a lot of different research out there that shows that people treat windfall money differently than earned money. We mentally kind of categorize it as fun money and we spend it more freely. But mathematically, money doesn't really care where it came from. It only cares what you do with it next. So let me tell you about a situation about a client who received a small $25,000 inheritance. He spent $20,000 on a luxury vacation with his family and invested $5,000. His brother invested the entire $25,000. Assuming a 7% annual return by retirement in 30 years, Mark's $5,000 became $38,000, but Tom's $25,000 becomes $190,000. That vacation cost Mark about $152,000 in future wealth. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler calls this mental accounting. We create these categories in our mind about money that don't even make mathematical sense at all. The antidote is to treat every dollar equally, regardless of its source. I talk about this a lot on my website, in blog posts, and I've talked about this in past episodes. Think about the money you're inheriting or the bonus you're getting, and let's say it's $100,000. Ask yourself how long it would take to save that much money if you spent the time to build that amount in your savings account. And if you did that, would you still spend it the same? So here's my windfall strategy. Follow the 50-30-20 rule for large windfalls. Invest 50% immediately. Use 30% for debt reduction if you have any debt that is over 7%. And then use some for emergency fund building. And then allow yourself just to spend 20% guilt-free. This kind of satisfies both your rational wealth building brain and your emotional spending brain. And for smaller windfalls under $1,000, I'd recommend the double it approach. Match every dollar you spend with a dollar you invest. So if you want to spend that $500 bonus on something fun, fine, but invest $500 too. So let's wrap up today's episode with an action plan. These 5 mistakes can cost you real money, but they're all completely fixable starting today. So first, review your 401k contributions. If you're in a high tax bracket and you're contributing everything to the Roth 401k, consider switching some to traditional. Second, set a quarterly reminder to check your taxable investment accounts for tax loss harvesting opportunities. If you don't have any losses now, you'll be ready for when you do. Third, if you're not maximizing an HSA or contributing to one, investigate whether a high deductible health plan makes sense for your situation. And remember our 3 principles from today. Pay tomorrow's tax rate, not today's tax bracket. Small losses, big wins, harvest every season. Max the match, then max the tax advantage. That's it for today's episode. 5 fixable mistakes to build and keep more of your wealth. So thanks for listening, and please share this podcast with a friend. Like, follow it, share it on social media. My goal with the Wealth Decisions podcast is to reach over 100,000 people in the Twin Cities and beyond so that people can live a richer life. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great day.